Look now at the behemoth, which I made along with you. He eats grass like an ox. See now, his strength is in his hips, and his power is in his stomach muscles. He moves his tail like a cedar, the sinews of his thighs are tightly knit. His bones are like beams of bronze, his ribs like bars of iron. He is the first of the ways of God, only he who made him can bring near his sword. Surely the mountains yield food for him, and all the beasts of the field play there. He lies under the lotus trees, in a covert of reeds and marsh. The lotus trees cover him with their shade, the willows by the brook surround him. Indeed the river may rage, yet he is not disturbed. He is confident, though the Jordan gushes into his mouth. Though he takes it in his eyes, or one pierces his nose with a snare. There is, of course, no response from Job to what God said to him in the previous verses. He can practice nothing, but nothing at all, of what God has told him. God is the only one who can do everything to which he has called Job. Job is not God. He is only a creature, while God is sovereign and omnipotent. God is going to demonstrate that sovereignty and omnipotence even further by presenting two of his greatest works of creation to Job. 1. Behemoth, a beast that lives mainly on the land, and 2. Leviathan, a beast that lives more in the sea. They show his power and majesty like no other of his works of creation. God reminds Job of the first beast. Behold now, Behemoth, that mighty beast. It is not clear what kind of beast it was. It cannot be compared to any beast we know. It has been assumed that it was an elephant or a rhino. But if we read the description, it must take some imagination to recognize either beast in it. The most plausible explanation is that it concerns a certain kind of dinosaur, which we know were enormous beasts. We don't know those beasts, but apparently Job does, because God can point them out to him. In any case, God made that beast, which in size and power far surpasses Job. That beast is a creature of him, just like Job is, which I made as well as you. That enormous beast and Job both emerged from his hand on the same day of creation, the 6th, and are constantly in his hand. God is their Lord, he is above them. Then God is going to describe the characteristics of this beast. He begins with the food. Behemoth is an herbivore, for he eats grass like an ox. The meaning of his name also points to this. The Hebrew word behemoth is the plural of behemah and means cattle. The plural form is used here to emphasize size and importance. This indicates that cattle should be understood as giant cattle. The fact that his vegetable food is mentioned as a special characteristic seems to mean that this would not be expected of such a giant monster. It does not mean that we have a sweet little beast in front of us, but that we see God's creative wisdom in this. God created this beast in such a way that it eats grass like an ox, just like the cattle from which its name is derived. From the further description we can conclude that the power of that beast far surpasses that of man. Job should take a look at his loins. What a strength they radiate. And then the muscles of his belly, what a power. The beast is also able to make his tail, that usually will drag over the ground, like a cedar, turning it into a kind of battering ram. This characteristic also makes it clear that this cannot be a rhino, as some biblical translations suggest by translating the word behemoth with rhino. It is difficult to say that the short, blunt tail of a rhino resembles a cedar tree. The sinews of its thighs resemble braided cables. The sinews connect the muscles to the bones. His individual bones resemble tubes of bronze, and the whole of his bones resemble a skeleton of bars of iron. The beast has a metal frame. What God tells Job about this beast must make him deeply impressed by the creator of it. God has given this beast this unparalleled massiveness, strength, and size. What man can measure up to such a beast? Who is capable of subjugating such a beast? It was already impossible with almost all the beasts mentioned in the previous chapters. But here it is totally excluded. Only God has power over this beast. In the middle of the description of the beast the testimony sounds, "He is the first of the ways of God." Of all the beasts that God has made, Behemoth is the largest and most impressive. A comparison with two remarkable passages in the Bible may help to understand the meaning of the first of the ways of God. In Isaiah 14, the judgment is announced about the king of Babylon, and in Ezekiel 28 about the city of Tyre. In both cases, The message of the judgment begins with the reference to the real places and people, just like many other judgments in the chapters before and after. But then the description suddenly goes far beyond earthly relations. Clearly, in both cases, God refers to the driving force behind and uses the self-satisfied, proud, and ungodly systems. He refers directly to Satan. We can assume, with due caution, that Satan is the creature rightly titled the first of the ways of God. The invincibility of Behemoth by man is therefore a picture of the much stronger adversary Satan, who can also use beasts for his purpose. But the deadly power, the sword, God himself has given to the beast, while he still has complete control over it. The first 2 chapters of Job clearly show that Satan can go no further in his destructive acts than God allows him. When he made Behemoth, God also provided him with his sword. This means one of the fingers of his paw that looks like a sword. He finds his food on the mountains, where all the beasts of the field play. That conjures up a lovely scene. There seems to be no threat emanating from this beast. On the contrary, the colossal beast radiates calmness. The Colossus looks for a place where he finds protection from the burning sun and lies down to sleep under shady trees. He looks for the covert of the reeds and the marsh, which is an area rich in water. When the weather turns and the river Jordan becomes wild, you will not see it tremble. He is not impressed by rushing water, but remains calm. The mention of the river Jordan is interesting, because it is a further indication that the land of Uz where Job lived was in the area of the later Edom. Although there seems to be no direct threat from this giant beast, no one will dare attempt to capture it. Capture him when he is on watch means to catch him while he is looking, not sleeping. Nobody can pierce his nose with barbs to take him away. His strength is so great that no one dares come near him. The overall impression of this mighty creature is that it is full of power and afraid of no one. The greatest violence of nature does not bother him. At the same time, he seems to mean no harm. This makes him a striking picture of Satan as an angel of light. Satan was created by God as the chief angel. He had the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. But he abused what God gave him for himself and became Satan. Behind the kind face Satan can show a devastating and destructive force is hidden. He is the friendly liar, who is out to murder, for he is also the murderer of men from the beginning. His destructive power is presented in the next beast, the Leviathan. None of mankind fathoms Satan, and no one is able to tame him or bind him. Only God has complete authority over Satan. Also, the believers who live in fellowship with God and have his word as a guideline for their lives, see through him, because they are not ignorant of his schemes. But they are no match for him either. The only safe place to be preserved from the deceptions of Satan is Christ. Christ has bound Satan, the strong one, in the wilderness and has overcome him on the cross.